a Shawn Michaels match over the course of his, I think it's over 2 decade career, that you look at that people don't talk a lot about, that you feel is grossly underrated? Because for me, I think, I mean, I guess I'll say first and foremost that I think when Shawn came back in 2002, he really reinvented himself, and especially like as the years went on, like around 2006, 7, 8, he really started adapting new moves that you wouldn't expect. It was almost like he was watching a bunch of independent wrestling stuff. So what stands out to me as a match that no one really ever talks about is Shawn Michaels versus Randy Orton, and I believe it was Survivor Series 2007. And the stipulation was that Shawn
couldn't use the super kick.
Could not use the super kick.
Yeah.
Because he had returned from a leave of absence. He came back and he just kept knocking out Randy every week with the super kick. So they instilled that stipulation onto the match, and he was doing things in that match like I believe. I could be wrong.
Did he pull out the reverse figure four in that one?
I think he did the reverse figure four.
Yeah.
I know that he did the crippler crossface, which was the first time that had been used for a long period of time there. And he also did MMA elbows, which we hadn't seen on WWE television. Like we knew it from, I believe it was from Bryan and Nigel McGuinness, right?
Yeah,
the match that happened.
I mean, Bryan used
them all the time,
but
that's where that GIF came from. That was pretty.
Yeah, Bryan used them all the time.
So, Shawn really reinvented himself in that era, in that match, specifically the finish. And I think I can speak for both of us, where, and anybody who's ever watched any of your WWE stuff knows that you are big on storytelling, right? And I think that's a big influence from Shawn. And I think the best part that makes that match stand out to me is going into the finish. Out of instinct, Shawn goes for the super kick on Randy Orton, and he stops because he knows if I super kick him, I'm not going to win the WWE Championship. And in that moment, there's like this brief hesitation, a look from Randy to Shawn, and then boom, RKO, 1, 2, 3. On paper, very simplistic finish, but if you really look at the depth and the layers of that, like it's a great finish and an underrated match.
Yeah, I agree. I think Shawn really was the one that started kind of instilling, as he himself likes to call it, Shakespeare in his matches. And like, you kind of pick up on that a lot especially when he came back. But it's just, I know for me personally, like for my big matches, like we're talking like Pro Wrestling Ohio, Resolution sort of days, and even Dragon Gate USA and things like that, I always tried to instill some sort of memorable story moment that goes outside of wrestling in my sort of things. And I did that before I even got to WWE, before I started even working with Shawn and things like that. That was just always something I've been drawn to, just because I think it's different and it's just so unique. But yeah, he's the king of doing that. I guess for me, like, it's not underrated, but like his match with Mankind from Mind Games is always, I think it doesn't get as much talk as it should. I know it started resurfacing a lot lately, but I think that was always something that was like, I remember just being blown away by that match when I was a kid. But yeah, so underrated matches, I guess that's always the one that sticks out in my head, is my go-to. Just because how, like, I just remember Shawn running and jumping off the chair and doing a super kick while Mankind was on the top rope, and that blew my mind when I was little. But yeah, but to go back to the Shakespeare and things like that, like, Shawn he's the king of that. And like now, like, luckily I get to do it more in my matches, and I kind of get to go to him and say, like, hey, what do you think about this? How does this feel to you? And things like that. I feel like I have the ultimate Rolodex in my back pocket where I have the best wrestler of all time on standby if I need to have a question or if I have a concern about anything. Two of the best wrestlers of all time, honestly, with Triple H and Shawn. But yeah, like, it's just that's what I enjoy out of wrestling. I love that sort of thing. I know I did it back at Resolution 2 with Josh Prohibition, and that was back when I was, I don't know how old I was. That was like 2009. 2009, so yeah. I was early 20s, I guess, at that point. And I was trying to do that sort of stuff back then, just because, like, that's the stuff I've always enjoyed doing. Luckily now with WWE, like, there's cameras and commentators and, like, more eyes now to tell my stories that I like to tell.
Yeah.
And like I know it kind of divides some people too, because some people are very much so in the mindset of like wrestling needs to be this certain way. Like I love Japan wrestling, and I love like the hard hitting, stiff sort of stuff, and like I don't need the drama in my wrestling. I just want to see people get hit really hard, and that's fine. I mean, I'll give you some of that too, I guess. But like I enjoy a certain type of wrestling, and I enjoy producing a certain type of wrestling. It's not for everyone. I know it's not for everyone. But I like my wrestling to be like a movie as opposed to just wrestling being for wrestling's sake.
Yeah.
I think in this day and age we've kind of created this I think NXT as a whole has created this unique kind of style where like you kind of get the crazy PWG style of match, but you also get the storytelling too. You get this sort of thing too. Like I feel like especially with takeovers, it's such a it's a cornucopia of different styles and matches and things. If one thing doesn't have what you like, the other thing will, and things like that. So, like I said, I think like there's different types of wrestling, and for me, that's the Shawn style, the Shakespeare, and the theater has always been what I've been drawn to.